2026 to order. The first item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. The agenda is adopted. The next item on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes of July 9th, 2026. Commissioners, have you all had received a copy, had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Any- Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the minutes of July 9th, 2026 are approved. The next item on the agenda would be the consideration of the post-employment waivers. Our first one would be Roland Fagan from the Indiana Department of Transportation, presented by Ethics Officer James Boyer. And we have a brief read-in.
Indiana Department of Transportation's appointing authority is requesting a post-employment waiver under Indiana Code 4-2-6-11 for Deputy Commissioner Roland Fagan. Mr. Fagan is planning to join Butler, Fairman and Super Inc. as a construction project director. The waiver requests an exception from the 365 days cooling off period before receiving compensation.
Thank you very much. May we please have the witnesses sworn?
Please raise your right hands, please. You swear that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you both please state your name for the record?
Roland Fagan. James Boyer.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Again, my name is James Boyer. As has been indicated, we're here before the commission on Mr. Fagan's post-employment waiver. Mr. Fagan is contemplating employment with Butler Fairman, and Cipher. We can subsequently refer to that as BFNS. So in support of that waiver, I'll go ahead and ask Mr. Fagan some questions. Mr. Fagan, again, state your name.
Roland Fagan.
And where do you work currently?
I work for Indiana Department of Transportation as Deputy Commissioner of Construction.
Okay. And how long have you been in DOT?
I've been with NDOT 42 years.
That's quite a track record. Thank you for your service. So in your current capacity within that, how long have you been in that role?
And Deputy Commissioner for 8 years.
And just provide a brief synopsis of what you do as Deputy Commissioner.
So I'm over the divisions of construction management, over the divisions of materials and test, over the divisions of research, emerging mobility, and the permitting.
And you have a lot of people that work within your vertical underneath you, is that correct? And how many people approximately?
125.
And so you're here before the commission on your post-employment waiver, and who are you looking to be employed with?
Butler, Fairman, and Cipher,
Okay.
BFNS.
Okay. And in what capacity would you be working with?
As a construction project director.
Okay. And if you would just explain a little bit what that would involve.
So primarily, project delivery, helping them with construction inspection, the blue line, being over part of that with their inspection and public outreach. Also, helping them with pursuits, future pursuits as far as new pursuits with alternate delivery within DOT, and then also with the local program that they have as well.
Okay. And you have indicated that in working with BFNS that you will not be working on any current DOT projects. That's correct.
And not anything that I do not work too much with them in my vertical. There were folks that work with them, but nothing ever rose to my level.
Okay, let's go into that a little bit. So
Okay.
what involvement, direct involvement would you have had with BFNS while you were at DOT?
So they do provide construction inspection, so that would run through my vertical at times, but nothing, no matter ever reached me
Okay. And that was during your time as Deputy Commissioner?
as Deputy Commissioner.
Okay.
Yes.
And you mentioned the blue line. Just basically, what is that?
So that's the bus line from on US 40 Washington Street from Holt Road out to Cumberland.
And is that a local project?
Local project does have some federal aid in it, so that does have some.
Which
oversight.
NDOT would see some of that. Okay, thank you. And so to reiterate, you wouldn't necessarily have, oh, well, let me back up. How many contracts that you're aware of is BFNS currently?
Around 80 is what I understand.
Okay, and just also describe what BFNS does.
BFNS is a design firm for NDOT and local programs for highway and road construction. They also do stormwater stuff and also some wastewater. They also provide construction inspection to both of those parties.
Okay, and you said that, or indicated that you wouldn't be involved with the current contracts, those 80 contracts with BFNS.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, maybe give a little bit of your background, your engineering background.
Okay. So I've started with NDOT way back in 1984 as a project engineer running individual projects. Then became an area engineer in 2002, which in the Greenfield District, which is the south central area of that district. 2009, I became construction director over the Greenfield District, which includes Indianapolis, Greenfield District up to Kokomo, and then over to the Ohio line. And then in 2018, I became the deputy commissioner of construction appointed at that time.
So during your professional engineering career, you've gained a lot of experience and knowledge in the
Yeah.
construction field, especially with road construction and road projects.
Yep.
Bridge projects.
Yeah.
And so is it safe to say that you have a lot of experience?
I'd say, yes, a lot of experience.
Okay. And now you're looking at moving on from NDOT to work with BFNS. So you would say that basically you've reached the pinnacle of your career with
Yep.
NDOT and that you're ready to move on,
That's correct.
and not necessarily to retire, so.
Correct.
And that's why this opportunity has come along and we'd like to pursue that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. That's all the questions I have with that. I submit to the commission any questions that they'd like to ask.
Actually, any questions, concerns?
Mr. Fegan, could you elaborate a little bit? It says in the materials that were submitted that some of the divisions in your vertical would have made regulatory and permitting decisions involving BFNS, but help me understand a little bit better your involvement and oversight.
So potentially, something, I mean, would be in my vertical, they might have submitted a permit for NDOT. I'm not aware of any particular one that they did, but could have never reached my level. As construction inspection, sometimes they did design and construction inspection. Nothing reaches me till it's over 2 million. And so at the project level, the decisions could be made at 50,000. At the area engineer level, it's 250,000 up to 250. And then 750 at the construction director level, 2 million above, then it could get to me. I'd be aware of it.
And are you saying that you're not aware of any?
Nothing that from Butler and Fairfield Cipher came at that level. Yeah. The other thing in the notes, never had any selection or anything, negotiating any contracts with Butler Fairfield. The only other arena that potentially could have been there would have been an errors and omissions of some sort that could have, in my years, nothing with them came close to my level.
Great, thank you.
And you understand that BFNS, you would not be able to participate in anything that you worked on in NDOT.
That's correct.
Yeah, I would agree.
For approval, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the waiver is approved. Good luck in your new employment and thanks for all your work for the state.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda would be the consideration of the post-employment waiver of Commissioner Brandon Clifton with the Indiana Department of Administration, presented by Ethics Officer Jennifer Jansen. May we have a brief reading, please?
Yes. The Indiana Department of Administration seeks approval of a proposed waiver under Indiana Code 4-2-6-11 for Commissioner Brandon Clifton. Commissioner Clifton intends to accept a position as the Director of Governmental Affairs with the Hagerman Group. The waiver requests an exception only to the 365-day cooling off restriction related to lobbying.
May we please have the witnesses sworn?
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
Can you please both state your names for the record?
Jennifer Jansen, IDOA General Counsel and Ethics Officer.
Brandon Clifton, Commissioner, Indiana Department of Administration.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Well, as noted, we are here today to ask for a waiver of the 365-day cooling off period so that Commissioner Clifton might accept a position with the Hagerman Group as their Director of Governmental Affairs. This position, in his current position, Mr. Clifton has oversight of IDOA. As you may know, IDOA has broad-reaching authority throughout the state. Including decision-making authority over policies, rules, contracts. One of our core responsibilities is to approve all state contracts, to ensure that certain provisions are included and to ensure that those contracts are in the best interest of the state. Responsibility for review and approval of contracts typically falls to IDOA's legal division. It's very rare that Mr. Clifton approves any of those contracts himself. I think we can count on one hand, since you've been here, the number that you've actually been the one to approve. Moreover, Hagerman doesn't have any active contracts with the state of Indiana currently. During Mr. Clifton's tenure as commissioner, there's only been one contract that Hagerman has entered with the state. It was a contract for installation of a shooting range baffle at the Roush Lake location for DNR. That contract duration was about 4 months and expired June 30th of this year. The value on that contract was $22,000. As far as we can tell, historically going back as far as the transparency portal shows contracts, there hasn't been anything else with Hagerman. As far as the duties to be performed, Mr. Clifton will be serving as the Director of Government Affairs for Hagerman, which will be the company's primary liaison with local government entities, the Indiana General Assembly, and other industry associations. In this capacity, it's possible that there could be some contact with IDOA, but because Hagerman Group's focus tends to be more on local government entities and more generally monitoring and developments and trying to influence developments for vertical construction with local government entities, it's not likely that he'll have a lot of contact with IDOA. That's not really our bailiwick. Is there anything you want to add there?
The only thing I would add, and thank you, Jenny, as you said earlier, the burdensome review of those thousands of contracts that flow through the state annually, the legal division, Jenny's team approves those. I've only reviewed and approved one that was with the Department of Corrections due to a conflict, and that was done probably a couple of months ago, and that of course did not involve Hagerman. The only other thing I would add is the primary responsibilities will be working with local units of government on their capital projects, on their vertical construction opportunities. There will be some work with the third floor with the General Assembly, especially as the local government financing policies continue to change and will, as they have in the past. And then there'll be a business development component as well, and South Central Indiana, I should say. So those are the primary responsibilities in this role. It's a new role, format of this role. I'm very excited about the opportunities that's presented to me.
And just to cover the last 2 points, the last 2 questions in the waiver, we do think that this prospective employment could be beneficial to the state and to the public. Mr. Clifton has had extensive experience within the state with state government. I think that could be of tremendous value to local units of government, which in turn strengthens the state as a whole. His involvement could help strengthen critical infrastructure projects for the locals and provide informed guidance on financing and compliance and best practices. If the waiver is denied, certainly Mr. Clifton would face significant economic hardship, and Indiana would lose the benefit of an experienced public sector professional. If he were not to receive the waiver, it's likely that, roles like this are limited within the state. He would probably have to leave the state of Indiana.
Nothing further. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions, concerns?
I have a quick one. The box that was checked was cooling off period before serving as a lobbyist, but I didn't hear you really mention lobbying.
Yes, and that will be a critical component of the job, especially with the legislature and shaping construction informed policies going forward. I would expect to register as a lobbyist in that capacity as well.
So your lobbying effort would be more focused on legislature and not the executive branch.
That's correct. That's correct. That's certainly in light of the fact that Hagerman has not participated or sought to or identified the state as a potential revenue source. As Jenny mentioned earlier, in the recorded history of the transparency portal, there's only one Hagerman contract, and I don't expect that to change since the core business function and the success of the business has been at the local level.
No other questions?
Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the waiver is approved. Good luck in your new employment and thank you for
Thank you.
your service to the state.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the consideration of agency limited personal use of state property policy. Regarding the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute presented by Ethics Officer Cynthia Forbes. We have read it. Absolutely, thank you.
The Indiana Criminal Justice Institute is requesting approval by the commission of the unanimous use policy under Indiana Code 4-2-6-17. The proposed policy will apply to all ICJI employees, special state appointees, and contractual staff, and replaces and/or rescinds prior limited use policies.
May we please have the witness sworn?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Cynthia Forbes.
Ms. Forbes, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm the General Counsel and Ethics Officer for the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. I've been in that role for just over 3 or 4 months. I was tasked with updating the agency's policies. It's been some time since we had looked at that with the transition to Governor Braun and Executive Director Huntsinger. So our de minimis use policy is really an update of our prior one that has been ratified by the commission. It is substantially similar. Our major change is that we did include contract employees in the de minimis use policy. We think it's critical to also limit their use when they are issued government equipment such as laptops. And prudent to do so. Otherwise, it is substantially similar to the same as the model policy put out by the Inspector General's office in our prior policy.
Commissioners, obviously, we've received a copy of the proposed policy. Commissioners, any questions, concerns regarding the policy?
So I guess one question I had with regard to the policy was, is there a type of device or devices that you were thinking about in creating this policy, or is this just general for any use?
It's general for any de minimis use of state property or state time and anticipates, for example, taking a personal phone call during work hours or maybe a doctor's office or sick child. But specific to contractors, most contractors are issued state computers. That did come to my mind when I wanted to include them in the policy because a lot of them do have other employment opportunities. So I think it's critical to distinguish that they can only use state property for state purposes.
And while not specifically addressed by this policy, are you aware of any other policy in place that protects the data that would be accessed by any contractor, like the state related data or the non-state related data is on the state device?
We have the general, I'm not an expert in this, sorry, but the Office of Technology as in Indiana Resource User Agreement that you have to agree to that you're using things properly for work purposes. And then specific to CJI uses, we have some internal databases that are subject to user policies.
Thank you. I move for approval.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the policy is approved. Thank you very much. The next item on the agenda would be the consideration of the formal advisory opinions. Our first one is regarding Justin Littman by the the Department of Child Services, presented by Ethics Officer Amber Ying. And we please have a brief reading.
Yes, ma'am. The Indiana Department of Child Services has requested a formal advisory opinion to determine whether post-employment particular matter restrictions apply to former employee Justin Littman in his new role with Firefly Children and Family Alliance. Mr. Littman previously collaborated with Firefly on child abuse prevention efforts and helped establish the Jay County Family Resource Center, but has fully recused himself from all matters involving that center since joining Firefly.
Thank you. May we have the witnesses sworn?
Raise your right hands, please. Do you swear that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you please both state your names for the record?
Yep. Amber Nicole Ying, Chief Ethics and Compliance Officer, DCS, and Designated Agency Ethics Officer.
Justin.
You may proceed.
And good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us this morning.
Morning.
Mr. Littman is requesting this formal advisory opinion to determine whether the activities he performed during his DCS employment related to the Jay County Family Resource Center constitute a particular matter, thus implicating the particular matter restriction of 42 IAC 1-5-14C and prohibiting him from representing or assisting individuals in matters related to the Jay County Family Resource Center in his current role as the Director of Community Partners for Child Safety with DCS contracted service provider Firefly Children and Family Alliance, or Firefly for short. As the DCS Jay County Local Office Director, Mr. Littman's official job duties included managing the daily administrative operations for the office and directly training and supervising the child welfare related work of the family case manager staff. Mr. Littman's role also incorporated a public-facing component. In this capacity, he engaged with members of the Jay County community and cultivated, oversaw, and maintained official relationships with various individuals and entities invested in child welfare services. Most relevant to today's discussion, Mr. Littman engaged with Firefly in various ways. At the request of his manager, he reviewed a proposal Firefly submitted in response to a DCS request for proposals for community-based services. Firefly was the only respondent. His involvement was limited to reading the submission and commenting whether the proposal met the DCS service standards requirements. Mr. Littman participated in child abuse prevention work groups with members of the Firefly executive leadership team. Work groups met every 2 to 3 months for 3 to 4 years. Work group discussions focused on measures to prevent child abuse. He approved family case manager referrals for DCS involved children and families to Firefly for services. And between 2022 and 2025, Mr. Littman worked with an array of child welfare professionals and organizations, including Firefly, to implement Indiana's framework for prevention of child abuse and neglect, dedicated measures to prevent child maltreatment. One outcome of this collaboration was the establishment of the Jay County Family Resource Center, an entity that provides services to address the identified needs of the Jay County community, including parenting classes, infant safe sleep education, and career counseling services. The Jay County Community for Family Resource Center continues to operate in conjunction with Firefly, DCS, and other child welfare-focused entities. As previously mentioned, DCS has multiple service contracts with Firefly, including for adoption, older youth, and collaborative care-related services. During his DCS employment, Mr. Littman did not participate in the negotiation or management of any DCS Firefly contracts or agreements between any DCS-affiliated party and Firefly. Between December 2025 and January 2026, Mr. Littman applied and interviewed for the role of Director of Community Partners for Child Safety with Firefly. He obtained an informal advisory opinion on January 16, 2026, advising that no impediments existed to his immediately working for Firefly upon leaving DCS. As advised on February 11, 2026, he filed a conflict of interest disclosure and screen with the Office of Inspector General since he had begun employment negotiations with Firefly. The conflict of interest screen prohibited Mr. Littman from participating in all decisions and votes and matters related to decisions and votes concerning Firefly. On February 23, 2026, he assumed his current position with Firefly. In part, his official duties include performing and managing child welfare-related field work, reviewing referrals for prevention services submitted by DCS, schools, medical providers, and community members, and managing family resource centers in Delaware and Grant counties. While Mr. Littman is expected to engage with the Jay County Family Resource Center, he's recused himself from all such matters pending your guidance. Thank you.
So you've clearly accepted your position with Firefly.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And can you just give me specifically, what are you doing with Firefly now?
So I'm the prevention director, primarily managing the Community Partners Program, which is a prevention program across the state of Indiana and all 92 counties. Firefly holds the contract for that program across the middle section of the state, including my area, which is the Delaware County and surrounding areas. So primarily I manage and oversee that program, help build referrals for that program, help oversee that we're meeting the service standards and serving our community the best way possible to prevent child abuse and neglect for our community. Along with that, we have the 3 family resource centers. I'm used from the Jay County one. I do oversee and help out with the Delaware and Grant County ones. That would be much the same, trying to make sure that we're providing services to the community that's beneficial, working with community members to ensure people are getting that information, coming into the center, getting what they need, all in hopes of bettering the community and preventing child abuse and neglect.
So who's doing that for the Jay County?
Other members of the Firefly team that have been doing that prior to my involvement with them. They have continued to oversee that. There is also if I may, a budget piece of this too. Clearly, the program has a budget, which I oversee the community partners piece. Each Family Resource Center has a budget as well. Again, I've recused myself from the Jay County one, which is managed by other Firefly members. And I do oversee the budgets for the 2 family resource centers at Delaware and Grant, making sure that we're being good stewards and ensuring that we are doing the best we can to support the community.
Historically, we've declined to issue any opinion on the 365-day cooling off period once somebody has already accepted employment. So I don't believe we can advise you on that. So I think the question is whether the particular matter restriction applies.
And Chairwoman, if I may, and we initially submitted an informal advisory opinion asking whether this matter, not particular matter, but whether Mr. Littman's situation fell within the parameters of the 365-day cooling off period. We were told no, right? The guidance was that he could immediately work with Firefly because of that distinction. The issue was whether his involvement met the standards of particular matters, since it did not align with any of the enumerated examples of particular matter.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. So you're having absolutely no contact with Jay County.
No, besides that's in my community, no.
So how is the Jay County University funded?
So it's funded by a number of different ways. It's funded by grants, it's funded by prevention funds from Department of Child Services, and just fundraising like donations.
And what was your role in establishing the Jay County FRC?
So my role as local office director, as Missy stated, is that there is a public facing piece of that. Since I was the local office director for Jay County, I was the had a clear investment of child abuse and neglect and preventing that in that county. So with that, we were wanting to establish the framework for child abuse prevention. that was being piloted in a couple different counties at that time in early 2021, 2020. That was being piloted in a couple of communities, knowing Jay County is a very small rural community and also oftentimes does not get the attention or support it needs from the greater Indiana government agencies. To advocate for my community and the folks that I served, wanted to make sure that we were able to be on the front end of that framework, because I thought that and believed that it would be beneficial for my community and preventing and giving support that was much needed to my community. So within that, we wanted to establish that. So I got a work group together comprising of local folks that are involved in the child welfare system, which includes Firefly. They had already worked with us, had a partnership with us that worked out very well. They also ran other family resource centers as well, so they were clearly part of that team. So we worked our way through that framework, which included surveying providers in the area, publics, elected local officials, to see what the needs were. And also collecting data, which shows that Jay County is in the bottom range for all measurements of indicators that they're not well. They're high in all sorts of child abuse trends and infant mortality, lack of food and food insecurities. We rank high in all of those, which all indicates that prevention is very needed in that area. So then we moved on to the implementation stage of how could we prevent or like put things in process to prevent that. And we discussed and surveyed again, talked to the community and a family resource center. It seemed like it was going to be a good idea, fit the bill for what Jay County needed, which was more resources, connecting resources, and being able to give things directly to that community. So with that, we worked to advocate. I did as a local office director, worked to advocate for that idea, that need, that data, my community, to give what they needed to be the best community they could. That included a lot of just advocating, talking to folks, sharing that idea, driving that process to make sure that it didn't fall by the wayside, because if I wasn't going to do it, no one was. So I wanted to make sure that we were advocating for those folks that couldn't advocate for themselves.
And we absolutely, what you do is amazing. And we appreciate that very much. But you would agree with me then, your participation in establishing Jay County FRC was personal and substantial.
It was a big investment for me, yes.
Okay. I mean, I believe the particular matter restriction would apply when it comes to Jay County FRC. But it sounds to me like you've already determined that you're not going to be working on that and have avoided that situation, correct?
I have so far, yes.
Yeah. So I believe the particular matter restriction would apply to Jay County FRC.
I agree.
Do I have a motion?
Well, so I move that we decline to analyze the 365-day cooling off period, and that the particular matter restriction applies to this situation.
Jay County FRC. Okay.
I would second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I
Those opposed. Thank you both for your presentation.
Thank you.
Good luck with your new role. And thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda would be the consideration of a formal advisory opinion regarding Anthony Vespa of the Department of Workforce Development, presented by Ethics Officer Elizabeth Green. May we have a brief reading?
Okay. The Indiana Department of Workforce Development seeks a formal advisory opinion regarding whether Anthony Vespa may continue serving as an unpaid special state appointee on the State Workforce Development Board while owning and working for the Vespa Group, a veteran-owned technology consulting firm. The Office of the Inspector General previously advised Mr. Vespa to seek a formal review under the Conflicts of Interest Statute, Indiana Code 4-2-6-10.5, due to his financial interest in the Vespa Group. Mr. Vespa has since filed the relevant disclosure statement. CWD now requests the commission's determination on whether his continued board service is permissible under state ethics law.
Thank you. May we please have the witnesses sworn?
Raise your right hand, please. You swear that what you're about to say is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I
do.
Would you please both state your names for the record?
Sure. Beth Green, I'm General Counsel and Ethics Officer with the Department of Workforce Development.
Tony Vespa.
Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you. Thank you for the read-in. As you know, Mr. Vespa and I are seeking guidance on the application of Indiana Code 4-2-6-10.5, which is conflicts of interest related to contracts, to the facts as they exist here. Specifically, we want to confirm that the statute does not prohibit Mr. Vespa from serving as an unpaid special state appointee on the State Workforce Development Board. Based on my independent research of the Commission's prior formal advisory opinions, as well as from my discussions with the Inspector General's office, it doesn't appear that the Commission has had the opportunity to formally advise on interpretation of the statute on this set of facts, specifically as it relates to individuals, whether that's a state officer, state employee, or special state appointee, who have executed contracts with the state, or in this case, executed subcontracts with prime contractors who have executed a contract with the state before that individual has become a state officer, state employee, or special state appointee. Because timing here is the key consideration, I want to take a minute to briefly talk through the timeline before moving to discussion of the statute itself. In addition to providing background, I want to highlight the sequence as outlined in our written request, and also to share developments since our filing of the request for the formal advisory opinion that will help inform your guidance on how Mr. Vespa should handle filing of financial disclosures moving forward. Mr. Vespa has a long history of service. First, as a graduate of the Naval Academy who served in the military, Mr. Vespa also previously served as a Service Academy board member. Mr. Vespa founded Vespa Group LLC back in 2014, which is a certified veteran-owned small business. Over the past decade, Vespa Group has performed services for the state as a contractor and subcontractor. Vespa Group currently continues to perform services as a subcontractor on multiple state projects. Mr. Vespa previously served on the governor's workforce cabinet from 2018 until the cabinet was dissolved last year. And starting April 1st, 2026, Mr. Vespa was appointed to the State Workforce Development Board. Following ethics training and other discussions, on July 2nd, Mr. Vespa requested an informal advisory opinion from the OIG. On July 15th, he received OIG recommendations to file a financial disclosure in an abundance of caution and to also file this request for a formal advisory opinion. On July 23rd, Mr. Vespa filed his financial disclosure with the OIG, and on July 31st, we submitted this request for a formal advisory to be considered at today's meeting. Just last week, while Mr. Vespa was out of office on vacation, he received an automated message from the Department of Administration stating that Vespa Group has been listed as an Indiana veteran-owned small business subcontractor on a recent award. This Vespa Group subcontract is with a prime contractor with whom Vespa Group has had an existing relationship. The state contract is for expanded work relating to a project that is identified in Mr. Vespa's financial disclosure. The preliminary award notice for this contract had been issued on December 17th, 2025. The actual award recommendation was issued on April 21st, 2026. The prime contract was executed last week, and Mr. Vespa has not yet received the fully executed subcontract from the prime contractor. As this work relates to an existing state project Vespa Group had been involved with already, Vespa Group intends to keep the same staff in place. In discussing this with Mr. Vespa, there is not always a new subcontract negotiated for each new award. It varies. Sometimes there's a new contract, other times it may be an addendum or a new work order. I also want to discuss the statute itself, including the legislative history, but I want to just pause and see if there are any initial questions you have for either myself or Mr. Vespa regarding the facts.
No.
Okay. The statute at issue was added in 2005 when the Office of Inspector General was established. It prohibits financial interests in state contracts in certain circumstances. From the beginning, the statute limited the prohibition in certain
limited the prohibition in certain circumstances when the person has no contracting responsibilities and meets other criteria. The public policy behind the statute is that we do not want someone taking advantage of their state position for financial gain. The question that must always be asked is, are you using your state position to gain financial advantage? The only amendment to this statute occurred a decade later in 2015. The OIG provided me with a copy of a June 2nd, 2015 public report discussing this legislative recommendation and change. The amendment added the mandatory disclosure filing requirement and codified the potential imposition of a fine for failure to comply. That memo states in part, the current provision requires an individual who learns of a prospective or actual violation of this law to file a full written disclosure of any financial interest to the contracting agency and the State Ethics Commission and to terminate or dispose of the financial interest. In its report, the OIG recommended that the underlying prohibition remain in place, but that the General Assembly amend the statute to require the mandatory filing of a disclosure statement by an individual who triggers application of this law prior to entering into the contract with a state agency. The goal of the amendment was increased transparency. Here, it does not appear that Mr. Vespa triggered the application of this statute because Vespa Group subcontracts existed before he was a special state appointee. The condition precedent or the event that is required before something else will occur of already being a state officer, employee, or special state appointee as required by the statute did not exist before Mr. Vespa's appointment, which was effective April 1st of this year. In speaking with the Inspector General's office about this formal advisory request, they agree with this interpretation. The statute was not triggered because Mr. Vespa was not appointed by the governor until after Vespa Group's contracts and subcontracts were executed. This interpretation aligns with the purpose and spirit of the statute, which is to prevent an individual from using their state position to gain financial advantage. Here, Vespa Group had been providing services to the state as a veteran-owned small business for years prior to Mr. Vespa's recent appointment to the State Workforce Development Board. And this is in alignment with the state's continued goal and support for veteran-owned small businesses. In addition, the goal of the 2015 statutory amendment of increased transparency has been met. Mr. Vespa has acted in good faith since his appointment to the State Workforce Development Board. He took the state ethics training when offered, engaged in discussions, filed a request for an informal advisory opinion, and followed the recommendations of the OIG by promptly filing a financial disclosure in an abundance of caution regarding the pre-existing subcontracts in which Mr. Vespa is involved with state projects, and also requesting this formal advisory opinion from the commission. In conclusion, we are requesting the commission issue a formal advisory opinion interpreting the statute in the interest of equity to not prohibit Mr. Vespa from serving as a special state appointee on the State Workforce Development Board. As discussed, this interpretation complies with the public policy and purposes of the law of prohibiting financial advantage from one state position and of transparency. This interpretation also meets the state's and public's interests by allowing opportunity for qualified individuals such as Mr. Vespa to serve the public in volunteer positions such as Mr. Vespa's State Workforce Development Board membership. Here, Mr. Vespa also brings experience as a veteran-owned small business to the State Workforce Development Board, focused on technology, which is of particular helpfulness to the work of the board, which is specifically directed in part to develop strategies for technological improvements across the services provided through the one-stop delivery system, and to develop strategies for aligning technology and data systems across one-stop partner programs. As it relates to transparency moving forward, we are also looking for guidance from the commission. Specifically, we're seeking guidance of whether the disclosure Mr. Vespa has filed is sufficient, or if it's the commission's preference that Mr. Vespa set a process to file a new or updated disclosure.
You clearly have a financial interest in state contracts with Vespa Group.
Yes, ma'am.
And what are your specific duties, or what is your role with the State Works Development Board?
I serve as a member at large, under the WIOA Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act. The board is required to be, composed of a certain percentage of small business owners. And I'm one of those small business owners to meet that quota. Our role is to advise and assist in aligning strategy and, policy for the WIOA combined plan, which is required by the federal legislation.
And you filed a disclosure out of an abundance of caution, I believe was said, for the contract that was awarded recently, but prior to your appointment.
That timing, so the prime contractor of this contract is listed in the disclosure. We had this request for a formal advisory about whether this rule is triggered, when it's triggered, and what that should look like. And so in the disclosure that was filed, the prime contractor that's at issue is included in there. The more recent contract is related work to that for the same agency. And so that's part of the analysis is this disclosure that Mr. Vespa filed sufficient? Or would it be something if Vespa Group started becoming a subcontractor for new prime contractors? Or would there be a requirement that every time there's an additional subcontract that involves work for the state, that would require an additional disclosure? And so that's a piece of the puzzle too, that we're looking for guidance for as far as what the cadence of any additional disclosures should be.
And I think anytime a contract would be awarded, there would have to be a disclosure. I don't think you can do a blanket disclosure for future things. I think it would have to be every single time.
Yeah, especially when, I mean, based on my understanding of what I've seen so far. Part of your advisory board position is going to be commenting on like different technologies or different updates that are needed in order to advance the state, which is right in your business interests. So, I mean, I see like a dissonance between your ability to advise on those and the potential for you getting more contracts or subcontracts based on the decisions or recommendations that you make.
And I will just suggest, and Mr. Vespa spoke about earlier, the State Workforce Development Board is separate from DWD. We help staff, we help support that, but it's made up of a very diverse membership, and it's part of the federal workforce program where the state receives dollars and then the state subgrants those dollars out to the region. And so again, to understanding it works both ways, right? That yes, we always need to be mindful of that, but at the same time too, it's exactly the type of person like Mr. Vespa that can bring experience in the technology space to help advise. And the role of the State Workforce Development Board really is very high level as far as helping come up with strategic initiatives, decisions, et cetera, as compared to in the weeds as far as specific contractors or subcontractors.
I'm assuming the SWDB is not in a position to award contracts to Vespa Group, correct?
No.
How about use of confidential information?
I mean, my experience in the governor's workforce cabinet and so far, these meetings, every meeting that I've been at has been applicable to
Open door.
the open door. So I can't think of any instance so far that I've had confidential information or inside information.
And anything that you think would require you to have to recuse yourself from the board that would come up because of that?
We never had that instance in the 6 years or so that I was on the workforce cabinet, and I don't foresee that based on the structure and what the role of the state workforce board is supposed to be doing. But of course, if that did come up, I would immediately recuse myself and seek guidance.
And the informal advisory addressed that provision as well, did not find any issues. And then, of course, that will be something that Mr. Vespa will continue to monitor for and ensure that he complies with disclosure requirements as needed.
I think it's apparent you realize there could be a conflict of interest. And I think you, moving forward, if you maintain your position on the SWDB board and you're, as an owner of Vespa Group, I think you absolutely need to file a disclosure anytime a contract comes up. But I think, in this situation, I don't believe it would be a conflict for you to continue your position with SWDB. Commissioners, any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in alignment with you on that. It's really close to the fence for me, but
I agree.
It's messy, but I agree that, your contracts preceded the appointment. So it's not clean cut. But I do agree that I think on an ongoing basis, we would have to, just the same way you came with an abundance of caution here and filed, I think you would be better served by disclosing that.
Absolutely. And that was the protocol for the governor's workforce cabinet was to regularly update that. And I've been filing these for years.
Do I have a motion that the current appointment to SWDB is not a conflict in this specific situation, and that disclosures would need to be filed moving forward?
So moved.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, thank you both for your presentation and good luck.
Thank you very much.
And the final item on the agenda would be the State Ethics Commission Director's Report. Thank you so much for filling in. May we have a brief report?
Absolutely. First, I would just like to take a moment to recognize the appointment of Commissioner Thomas Satter. This is his first meeting.
Welcome.
Second, by way of update, there have been 18 informal advisory opinions issued since the last meeting of this commission. And I have nothing further to report.
Thank you very much. Okay, that was the last item on the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, this meeting is adjourned.